Good morning and welcome to the Shielded Prepper. Today is an excellent day. I have an excellent group of verses as well as a powerful article this morning to open our eyes and to remind ourselves to listen with our hearts and our spirits and watch with our eyes that are spirit-led. Again, good morning to all of those that will be viewing this over the days to come. We must ensure that we are watching and have our head on a swivel about little pieces and little clues and information that is being supplied to us little by little. And things are aggressively moving forward. Today we're going to be talking about the IRS and the leverage and the power this morning that they have over us if they chose. And they're restrained right now. They are still restrained. They're held back by a group of policies and laws and conduct, yet they're testing it. And they will be testing us. This was out of the Wall Street Journal. And the Wall Street Journal, it's a liberal publication, yet they're kind of moderate liberal. I am conservative, more to probably the further side, yet I'm not quite all the way. I'm not crazy. Yet my heart is compelled right now to inform us. This is for me. So when I read in the morning, it's not just for you and your family. It's for us and our families. This is the same tribe, the same group. Let's get into this morning. Hey, thank you if you're online. Give it a thumbs up. There's 6 of you and only 4 thumbs up. Let's do 6. Okay, this is out of the IRS. The IRS makes another house call. This is uncomfortable. And if this wasn't true, if this isn't something that's happening or has happened, this wouldn't be going to the oversight committees and to the judiciary branches that are calling on representatives, top-level executives with the IRS to speak on the information that they're being supplied right now. So let's talk about this. In a Friday letter to the IRS Commissioner, Daniel Werfel, House Judiciary Chairman Jim Jordan demands answers about a bizarre and disturbing IRS house call. The letter recounts that on April 25th, a Marion, Ohio taxpayer received a visit from a man who claimed that his name was Bill Haas and worked in the IRS Criminal Division. So this guy straight up knocked on this person's door, told him that he was from the IRS Criminal Division. Mr. Haas said he intended on speaking with her about an estate for which she was a fiduciary. So they didn't go to somebody about their personal estate. They went to somebody regarding someone else's estate who she was over, right? Hey, Abe, how you doing? How are things going? I'm great. I'm excellent this morning. Thanks for being on. So they went to her as a fiduciary, or she was a power of attorney or something. Mr. Haas claimed she had not properly filled out estate forms and owed the IRS a substantial amount of money. Only when the taxpayer, only when the taxpayer presented proof of paying all taxes on the estate did the agent reveal that his visit wasn't about the estate at all. It was about several supposed delinquent tax returns related to the descendant of the estate. They're bait and switch. They're knocking on the door. They don't have anything necessarily specific. They're going to a fiduciary or to a power of attorney. And if we think about this great wealth transfer that's going to be happening in just the next couple of years, the boomers are passing away right now. This great generation that was before them is passing away right now. Massive wealth is transferring. And the IRS knows that there is massive wealth found in that older generation. The greatest generation, as well as our parents, the baby boomers that are beginning to age out. And many of them have significant wealth that they intend on transferring to their children, into their grandchildren, and to their great-grandchildren. Land, real estate, wealth. all sorts of assets, and IRS is super focused on this right now. And if you agree with this, put it in the comments. Give me a thumbs up if you agree with this. All right, let's get back over to this. The letter says that the taxpayer called her attorney instantly, and they told Mr. Haas to leave the house because he didn't come with any paperwork that compelled her. Yet she invited this IRS agent in. And you know what? I probably would have too, because I have nothing to hide. Many of you have nothing to hide. Asked to leave the house, only to be told by Mr. Haas that, listen to the brazen, arrogant spirit that this is going to be pushing through the IRS. And this is happening right now. This isn't a joke. This is real. I am an IRS agent, he says. I can be at or go into anyone's home at any time I desire to be, Mr. Haas said to her. And he finally left, and not before threatening her to freeze the taxpayer's assets and to put a lien on her house if she did not satisfy this balance in a week. This is fear, this is doubt, and this is worry. This is demonic. This is principalities levering. They're pushing, and they know that they have to go through a lot of hoops to prosecute the IRS, because there's a lot of protection for them as well as protection for us, and there's a process to go through this. When the officer, fearing a scam, she called the local police, and they ran the license plate of Mr. Haas. When the officer called Mr. Haas identified himself as an IRS agent, but said Haas wasn't his real name. He used an alias, and the officer also suspected this to be a scam. This was not a scam. This was a real IRS agent that used an alias so that he could not be pinned down. Yet he was contacted and said that Haas is not my last name. Jim Jordan has pulled on, I said it in the beginning, Daniel Warfel, who's the IRS commissioner, and he says, I desire all information connected to this, and you are going to sit in front of me and give this. And this happened a couple days ago. This is not going to age well at all. This is going to increase. So if this is one bellwether for things that we should be watching at the same highs, wasn't Haas from Bonanza? I think Haas was from Bonanza. That's right. Big Haas. I should be called Haas. Maybe it was me. All that to say, right now, your home must be in order. The one saving grace that this representative of this estate had is that she had records of paying those bills to the IRS for the deceased. And this gentleman that went there, I wouldn't even call him a gentleman, this domestic terrorist, can we say that? I don't know. This representative, whoever it was from the IRS, went in there with such a brazen hold. We have to get back to fundamentals. We have to remember to protect our four walls. Doesn't just require cordless hole punchers or seed throwers. You know what I'm saying? Put in the comments if you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. This is information for us right now, today. Let's move to scripture, because there is also something that we should be doing to shield ourselves right now in the physical. This is our preparedness. Those 5 categories of food, water, power, energy, food, or medical, protection, heat. Those big categories right now are extremely important for us for our physical shield. Gold, silver. We talked about this the other day. And Chris, I know you're Chris Taylor, Financial Prepper. I know you're on right now. And I talked to you about it and you really encouraged me. So right now, I'm going to encourage you with something out of the book of Hebrews. The book of Hebrews, there isn't a specific author that's been pinned down on who wrote this, yet it was written to Jews, and they were encouraged to respond to the threat of persecution. This is what the book of Hebrews was encouraging them to respond to the threat of persecution by recommitting to the new reality brought by Jesus Christ. It's time for us also to be watchful and listen to these watchmen. Within our nation, we have a series of watchmen that are looking for information to help us as we move forward. Hebrews 5:11 through 14. This really landed on me, and I'm going to break this down for you because this is about us. We have much to say about this, whoever was sharing this, and it is hard to make it clear to you because you no longer try to understand. Has there ever been any times where your faith has grown cold, your preparedness in your physical world, in your home has grown cold, where you've stopped for a season? This has happened to me. This happens to me constantly. It's a constant effort to ensure that we're preparing ourselves. In fact, verse 12, though by this time you ought to be teachers. There's many of us that have been in this preparedness journey for so long, and we're not teaching anybody. We're not sharing wisdom. We're holding it and hoarding it and protecting just our covering. And that's the wrong thing to do. It's the wrong thing to do. You should be teaching too. And if you desire to know more about how you can help, encourage, elevate, promote, coach, send it to me. theshieldedprepper@gmail.com. I'd love to talk with you about it. If you have a voice and a powerful spirit inside of you that's looking to encourage others, let me know. You ought to be teachers. You need someone to teach you now the elementary truths of God's word all over again. The elementary truths. What's elementary mean? Elementary means basics, fundamentals, the beginning. How do we start? The basics. You require milk, not solid food. The difference between milk and solid food is both of them calorically sustain a body, yet the body can't process when it's young as a child solid food. You must give it milk. Same nutrition, same calories, different delivery method. Fair? So we're talking about elementary truths or fundamentals or basics. You require milk. So if your faith isn't strong right now, talk to the Lord. Ask Holy Spirit for milk right now. Get back to the basics, because from milk, we graduate into solid foods, which is our minutia, the little things, so that we can see and perceive things with power and authority. Anyone who lives on milk, being still an infant, is not acquainted with the teachings about righteousness. They know there's a God out there. They've heard of the 10 Commandments. They know morals live inside of them. I know, Chris, you like milk. You do like milk. I love milk too. You know, we can't always live on milk yet. We probably could for a while. I don't know. I shouldn't. That would be bad. My wife would say, do not give the shielded prepper extra milk. Anyone know why? We all know why. It's that lactose molecule. It's got to be opened up. Or raw milk, yeah. Still being is not acquainted with the teachings about righteousness. Yet solid food is for the mature, who by constant use have trained themselves to distinguish good from evil. So what they're saying here is that if you have had time, you should be teachers by now. And if you're not teachers by now, we must go back to elementary truths or basics and fundamentals. We must ensure that we're graduating so that our eyes can perceive the difference between good and evil. Has anyone seen a shift between good and evil recently? Where good is now bad and bad is now good? We have to be training ourselves and seeing these things right now, and it's vitally important. It's vitally important for our preparedness here in the physical world, our shield that we can stand behind, this defensive tool that allows us not to run out into Babylon seeking support from principalities because we have no food, we have no power, we have no water, we can't afford gas, or late on our rent or our mortgage payments, the IRS is coming. This is how they're going to enslave us. Or, while the time is now, we're making moves to adjust the way that we think, the type of food that we eat, our spiritual walk with the Father who's going to tell us. That's what it is. Solid food. We're just going to break down the last verse. Solid food is equivalent to greater understanding. Is for the mature. The mature are the experienced. Those that have gone before and have stayed committed to fundamentals, and they've graduated into solid food. Constant use, who by constant use have trained themselves. Constant use means prudent, consistent, confidence. They're growing in it day after day. They can distinguish between good and evil. And once you know, you know. Many of you don't know this, and I'll share this with you for the first time. I hit a husky stage in the 2nd grade, and I never grew out of it. And it paid for a 6-figure college education, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I was a track and field athlete, played football all through high school. I was an excellent athlete. Well, I would say I wasn't excellent. I was excellent. And I went all through university. I was a several-time national champion. I threw the shot put. I threw the discus. I threw the hammer. Yet it was after university, after fundamentals, that I was able to graduate, and I threw the shot put professionally for 7 years after college. I traveled all over the world on someone else's dime. It was excellent. And there's a big difference between a professional basketball player and a thrower in track and field. Yet I made money doing it, and I had a chance in my 20s to experience some awesome things. Yet every time, my technique and our technical advancements in life all comes down to fundamentals. Sometimes we have to go back to milk. And if you feel like your faith isn't strong, we have to talk about going back to elementary truths, fundamentals, and start at the beginning. This is a shot put. This is a throwing ring. This is a sector. This is how you push it. You don't throw it like a baseball. Fundamentals, right? All that to say, it takes thousands of hours of practice to become an expert in something. And we have thousands of hours under our lives where we have been in constant push to become better. And if you realize this, put it in the comments. How have you become better just this year? What's one thing that some of you have done that have become better? Talk about this. The Ninja Nation is highly committed to encourage us to become better, to see things differently, to not allow ourselves to go backwards, rather to go forwards. The future is in front of us, and what's coming is vitally important that we encourage each other, that we sharpen each other. Like the story I shared with Chris Taylor. He says, hey, Jess, it's okay you sold your 5 ounces of gold. It's kind of like being your own bank. I'm like, you know what? That made me feel a lot better, because as we work, sometimes 2 steps forward, 1 step back. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. We know how this goes. So be encouraged today. If your faith is waning, go back to fundamentals, elementary truths. If your preparedness in your home is waning and you don't have a lot of money right now to invest in bigger and better, be encouraged. Attack what you have in your hand, what you have in your hand. And if you think you have nothing, you better be praying and getting on your knees right now, because there's always something that we can do. Because our spiritual shield, above all, it says if there's one element that we choose, it's the shield of faith that can block all fiery darts or attacks. You can block them all. If you picked up just one, pick up faith. And right now, I encourage you all today, go forward, be blessed. Just know, send this information, send the nation's influencers, these watchmen, and that are looking to help not just their families, rather you. This is uncomfortable. I'm standing in my dad bling shed. You're seeing all my stuff. I'm doing this not for me. I'm staring at my phone right now, and I know some of you are on here and you're listening and you're receiving something from this. Send it to somebody. Send Chris's stuff out. Send the Ninja's stuff out. Send Dan at I Allegedly stuff out. Prepare yourself. And I'd love to meet you guys. End of September, the Silver Symposium in Las Vegas at Caesar's Palace. I think, Chris, you're supposed to be there. The Ninja's going to be there. Dan, I Allegedly, is going to be there. I think Bravo's going to be. There's a lot of us. Come, meet us. We're the same as you. Be blessed, guys. Dave Russell, I appreciate that. Being live is a little uncomfortable. So you know what I do when I get uncomfortable? I just smile a lot. So if you're seeing me smile, I'm uncomfortable on the inside, yet I'm moving forward, and this is about us. I'll talk to you guys later. Appreciate you today. Again, be encouraged.